Okay, Algebra 2, here we are. Last new concept of the school year. Yay! I know you're excited for summer to come, but we're not quite there yet. So put on your thinking cap, get ready to nail down this last new thing that we're going to do today. And then make sure that you are planning on spending tomorrow and Thursday as a work day for yourself. So once again, you're going to be spending some time working. If you do need assistance and you want to set up any Zoom conferences, please let me know so that that can happen. And then on Friday the 29th, we're going to be working on your Chapter 8 review and then on for your Chapter 8 test. So that's what we're doing, and then you'll have your final exam coming up. So here we have solving rational equations. So we have this. Now, when we were simplifying them, you needed to get common denominators. And we still need to keep the concept of common denominators, but you are going to love this because our fractions are going to disappear really, really fast. But you have to know what to do to make the fractions disappear. You know that we have a rule that you can always multiply or divide both sides of an equation by the same thing, and that's going to keep everything equal. So what we want to do is we want to figure out what number would be the common denominator. And if we can figure out what number would be the common denominator, that's going to be our key number in order for canceling things out. So when we look at this and we say, okay, 3 and 2 and 6, what number would be our common denominator? When it's just plain numbers, hopefully the easy ones would jump out to you and you'd say, okay, yes, 6 is going to be my common denominator. So once you've found that number, you want to multiply both sides by that number. Okay, we found that number. We're going to multiply both sides by 6. Well, why would you want to do that? That looks complicated. Not really. Because when you multiply 6 and you distribute it to everything, something really, really wonderful happens. What happens is that all the denominators are going to cancel out. Because look at this. The 6 and the 3 will cancel out and it turn into a 2 and a 1. The 6 and the 2 will cancel out and turn into a 3 and a 1. And the 6 and the 6 will cancel out and we'll end up with just a 1. So what happens, then you multiply. 2 times x is 2x. This is 15 plus 3x. And then finally this part is 1. So that's pretty cool because then all you have to do is combine your like terms and you've got a really easy problem after that. We subtract 14 from both sides and divide by 5. And your answer is negative 14/5, maybe one of the simplest things you've done in a while. Because honestly, simplifying by adding and subtracting the fractions is a little bit tricky at times. Takes a whole lot of work, a lot of factor and cancel, but here you're eliminating the need for that simply by getting rid of the fractions. The only reason that works is because of this equal sign. So it makes your life so much easier. So aren't we glad that we're having a concept that isn't too painful here at the end, at the last new concept. So common denominators. We did need the last lesson because we do have to do a little bit of factoring and we do have to think about what the common denominator would be even if you have polynomials down there. So in order to figure out what you can multiply, you have to think in your mind. Now, if I were trying to make these denominators match, because x squared minus 9 factors out to x plus 3, x minus 3. If I wanted to make these denominators match, you'd have to make sure that they each had an x plus 3 and an x minus 3. Okay, remember when we were doing the like denominators for adding? So that's what you'll multiply by. You're going to multiply by x plus 3 and x minus 3. The other way to think about it when you're trying to figure out what to multiply by, you want to make sure that every single denominator is something that will cancel out when you distribute. Now, sometimes what people will do is mentally distribute, and that's fine if you can keep track of that in your head, because when you distribute here, the x minus 3's are canceling out, but don't forget to keep the x plus 3. That's why it's probably a little bit better to take the couple minutes it takes, the 30 seconds or whatever, to actually write it out. So we're distributing x plus 3, x minus 3. And the good part about it is the x minus 3's will cancel. Here we're going to distribute the x plus 3 and the x minus 3. And the x plus 3's are going to cancel out. And here we distribute them and they both cancel out and we're left with just a 2, which is really great because now I have this x that's multiplied times x plus 3 and this x that's multiplied times x minus 3 and it equals 2 on the other side. So it's getting to be an easier and easier problem. Distribute like you know how to do. We now have 2x squareds and it equals 2. Because when we put the like terms together, 3x minus 3x is 0. If I divide both sides by 2, I have x squared equals 1. That's convenient because now you're trying to figure out what number squared can equal 1. And there's 2 of those, x equals 1 or x equals negative 1. Now you do want to do a quick check at the end just to make sure that it doesn't it's not one of those illegal denominators, 1 or negative 1, neither one of them is going to mess you up. But that's a fantastic way of doing it. Now there are a couple of other little things that come up, so please don't just turn this off right now, okay? All right, let's take a look at this one. This already has common denominators, which makes it nice and friendly. Because it has common denominators, all you have to do is multiply by that common denominator, not much thinking happening there. So of course what that means is that this cancels with this one, and this one cancels with this one, and you're left with x minus 1 over here and x squared plus 2x minus 3 over here. Because it appears that it's going to be a quadratic, you need to subtract x from both sides and you need to add 1 to both sides. Always check to see if it will factor easily. This one, 2 and 1, yeah, that'll work because positive 2 and negative 1. So your two possible answers are x is negative 2 or x equals 1. Now you give it a quick check to make sure that it's no illegal denominators here. If I tried to put in a negative 2, I have a problem. I'm going to get 0 in the denominators, so this one's nope, doesn't work. However, x equals 1, that's perfectly legal, and that will give you something that will work. So your answer is x equals 1. This one's a no because it gives you an illegal denominator. So you do always want to make sure that you check for that. Okay, we have another one here. Then I want to show you what you can do if you wanted to use your calculator to solve these, okay? All right, so we have this one. Think in your mind, what would be that common denominator? What am I multiplying everything by? I need to make sure the x plus 1 will cancel out, and I need to make sure the x plus 4 will cancel out. So I want to multiply by x plus 1 and x plus 4. Because when I multiply by x plus 1 and x plus 4, right off the bat, these two can cancel. Okay. This has to be distributed, and that's fine. So I distribute this, and what I find when I do that is my x plus 1's cancel here, my x plus 4's cancel here. Then you need to go through the process of carefully multiplying it out. X times x is x squared. X times 4 is 4x. 3 times x is 3x. 3 times 1 is 3. Then multiply x times x, x squared. X times 1, 1x. 3 times x, 3x. 3 times 1 is 3. Now you can start trying to organize this. You can put your like terms together. Now, if we subtract x squared from both sides, it's gone. Okay? And you subtract 4x from both sides, you get 3x. And you subtract 3 from both sides, you get 0. So this all boils down to 3x equals 0. And when you divide by 3, we get x equals 0, and there's your solution. Okay? Not all of these problems that look really difficult have to be really difficult to solve them. Now, I told you I'd show you on the calculator because sometimes they might get a little trickier. Sometimes it might be a little bit difficult, but I do want to show you solving on the calculator. This one, quite honestly, would be a little bit easier to just multiply times x plus 2, x minus 2, but we want to learn a skill here. So always make sure your plots are off. And when you put them into y equals, you do that with the y equals button, be careful with your parentheses, because when I do 2 divided by x plus 2, make sure that you have the x plus 2 in parentheses, because if you don't, it'll be 2 divided by x and then adding a 2 to it, which is something different. So I have this. Now, oops, I don't want to multiply, I want to add x divided by, once again, be careful, put in x minus 2, x minus 2. All right, we've got that. Now in y2, here's the interesting thing. One side of the equation goes in for y1, the other side of the equation goes in for y2. So I've got my calculator all set up. Okay. y1 gets to have one side, y2 gets to the other. We want to go back to our old friend Zoom 6, which is our standard. Okay, Zoom 6. And you want to go back to your old friend where you're looking for the intersection. Now we've got this crazy graph here. Okay, we want to look for the intersection. We can guess that it's here, but let's do second calc. We want to find the intersection. So when we do that, we have our first curve, enter, our second curve, enter, and our guess, just leave it sit right there. And our intersection is 0, 1, which means that our answer is what's in the x place. Okay, y equals 1. That's good because this whole thing has to equal 1. And your answer is 0. X equals 0. Second calc, intersect. Enter, enter, enter. And that's all you have to do. Let's do another one just to make sure. We're going to put our equations in. Y equals, I want to clear this one out. I want to clear this one out. Make sure that there's plots are off. I want to use my parentheses correctly, so I'll do parentheses x plus 2 divided by parentheses 1 minus 2x, and then that equals 5. Go back to our old friend Zoom 6. And when you do that, we start to see a strange looking graph. We want to do second calc, intersect, enter, first curve, second curve, guess, and our intersection, remember y has to equal 5. Okay? The intersection is just that one point where this also equals 5, and that's where x equals 0.27272727. It's 0.27 happening over and over again, 0.27 repeating. And that's it. So second calc, enter, enter, enter. That will give second calc, intersect, enter, enter, enter. That gives you your answer. That's it for the last new lesson of the year. We do have some review coming up. You've got a final exam to study for. You've got a chapter 8 test to study for. But you're going to do your very, very best job getting the assignments done over the next couple days and asking me lots of questions and heading into any Zoom meetings that you need to. Okay, very good. All right, guys, we're almost there. I can't wait to see you at book drop off. And you got this. We're ready to finish this year off strong. God bless you.